Hey guys, welcome back to another 3D printing video. And in this video, we're going to be looking at the FlashForge Adventure 3. So we're going to look at some of the wireless functions that this printer has to offer, including that built-in camera that's in here. We're also going to do a few little upgrades to it. And I'm also going to print a benchmark benchy to compare. And last but not least, I'm going to print ABS for the first time. So let's get started. Alright, so in the last video I unboxed this thing, set it up, printed a few test prints, showed you guys how to use the flash print. So let's go ahead and start with connecting wirelessly. So I'm going to power on the printer, connect to Wi-Fi. So we'll go to Tools, Network, Wi-Fi. Alright, and it pulls up all the Wi-Fi's available. I'm going to select my Wi-Fi and then I'm going to put in the password. I'm going to hit OK and it's going to connect. So it has connected, and apparently there's a new version of the firmware. So we're going to go ahead and click yes to update it. And so it's downloading. So as you can see, guys, the printer is able to download new firmwares automatically just by connecting to the Wi-Fi. So I've downloaded some kind of update. Now it shows that we are connected, and there's a little icon on the top there. You can see that we have Wi-Fi. So if you wanted to, you could make a hotspot right here. Or if you had the cable plugged in into the back of the machine, you can use the Ethernet option here. And so now for the more complicated part, at least I think it's a little complicated, is the cloud. I think you have to go and sign up for cloud, and that's how you access your camera. Alright guys, so what you're looking at is the computer screen here and instructions on how to set up the Flash Cloud. So there is the website that you'll go to. So you're going to paste that in your browser, and that should lead you to this website here, and it's all in Chinese. Alright, so let's see if we can translate this site to English. So here on the top there's 3D software, and then we're gonna, let's see, how do I get there? There we go. Flash Cloud, that's what we're needing. So here on the bottom, if you scroll down just a little bit, it says to click here for Flash Cloud. And now we can register, and this is where you're going to have to register in order to use this service. Alright, so we have successfully registered. They're going to send you like a little code. Check your junk folder just in case. That's where mine was to register. Alright, so now we're going to log in, and here we are at the main screen. So on the side here, we're going to click on My Printer, and then we're going to add a printer. So we're going to need the register code right there, and where we're going to find that is in the printer. So if we go to Network and then Cloud, here we can see the registration code right there, which is specific to my printer. So I entered the register code, and I'm going to push OK, and you can see my printer pulls up right there. That's the code, that's my printer, and it's offline. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn on our Flash Cloud, and that should put the printer online. Alright, so it's online and it says idle, so that connected shortly. See if we click My Model here. So you can upload a model. And here they have a model library, and they have a bunch of this interesting stuff here that you could print. Let's just see if we can send something random to the printer here. Let's say this test. Alright, so I have a print button here, and if I push print, I guess here you can move the model on the bed. So it's kind of like a little slicer inside the cloud here. You can rotate it, scale it, move it around, and here you can put the parameters in, like PLA or ABS, supports, and raft. And here you can choose the standard, high, hyper, wall, or brim. So pretty cool. So let's just go with this and push print and see what happens. So it's uploading the model right now, slicing it, and there it goes. So here we have a print job on the bottom, and if we click start, the printer should start. So let's go ahead and do that. So the printer accepted the command and started warming up. So here we have our estimated time of how long it'll take. Alright guys, so I paused the print, and what I want to look at is this little icon up here, which should be the camera. Let's see if I click it. It looks like it's loading the video. And there it goes, guys. You can see me right there filming the screen through the printer. So there's definitely a lag there. It's not live. Like if I raise my hand, you can see that it took quite a bit to get there. So it's more made for monitoring your print than, you know, actually viewing the video live. So, but as you can see, it all works, and that is how the camera works in this printer here, and that is the camera right there, and that should be able to show everything you need to see on the bed while it's printing. So if you click on the camera again, it just goes back to the main menu, and you can, you know, toggle that between back and forth, and you can see there while I was pointing at it, that's the last thing it remembered. So yeah guys, there you go. This is the Flash Cloud, and basically that's how you use it. There's probably more, you know, detailed things you can do in here and stuff like that, but this is the overall basics. So if you're needing to print something while you're away from the printer, far away, and you're not nearby, this could be a great way to start a print while you're not around. Alright guys, so the next thing I want to talk about is the spool holder here on the side. So obviously here with this, you know, custom spool holder, you can only fit these spools in here. What if you had a bunch of PLA or, you know, just other regular 1 kilogram spools and you want to still use it? Well, what you're gonna have to do is make something external here, because this door covers everything and, you know, only this fits in there. Unfortunately, the only option is to leave the door open, or you could drill a hole through here or make a notch here on the side to feed the filament from the outside. But leaving the door open just like this should not be an issue, especially for PLA printing. And what you're going to need is a spool holder device here, and this is a very simple one that you can download from Thingiverse. As you can see here, it takes regular skateboard bearings there, and the spool just goes right on top of that, and you can have it, you know, as wide or as narrow as you want, so you can put any spool on these guys. So the idea is pretty simple, is that you would just set them somewhere outside here, and let's just pretend that this is another spool here, and, you know, and that's how it would feed, just like that. Very simple. You know, you can orientate it to exactly where you need it to go. You could be, you know, like this, maybe. So I want to talk about bed leveling, because I printed these on the Adventure 3 and I had a little bit of a bed issue because, you know, 4 of these pieces in halves, you know, almost covered up the whole bed there. So let's take a little closer look in here at what was happening. So what was happening is that this side was too high, this side was very low, this was like okay kind of, and then this was okay also. So it was kind of a weird situation where it needed a very fine tune throughout the whole bed, because when you start printing something, you know, to the very edge, you know, you're never going to get that perfection unless, you know, you have your bed completely leveled. And so the issue was there were some dips, and because this bed does not adjust at all, there's no way to raise it or lower it on the corners here of the bed. Now if you did need it to level it from the x-axis here like this, you can do that by adjusting the belt, I think, on the top somewhere or something like that, where you can, let's say if this side was higher and this side was a lot lower, there is a way you can adjust that. But if you had to adjust it from here to here, I didn't really see any way of doing that. Maybe there is, I just don't know. But what I've done to get my bed pretty close to level, so here on the edge you can see I put tape here on the edge, so this side goes down more, because the aluminum plate here flexes quite a bit up and down. So you can add more to one edge to, you know, go lower or whatever. So that's what I did to, you know, fine tune it. And then the other part where I did, which is kind of weird a little bit, but it worked, is if you see that there's a little wheel underneath there, and that wheel rolls on the bottom here. And if you look there, I don't know if you can see, guys, it's kind of hard to see, but there's tape right there. This is just clear packing tape. And I have steps, a few steps. So as this thing travels, it goes higher, 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 and a little higher. So once it gets here, it's in the highest position. And this is how I dealt with it being too low here and too high here. So when I'm here, the nozzle's here, and so it's at its highest position, and as it goes back, it goes down slowly. So when it gets to this corner, you know, it's good here too. So in any case, guys, I just wanted to share that, because if you want the perfect, if you want the absolute perfect from corner to corner, you know, there's a very hair amount of adjustments that you'll have to make. And so here you guys can see that these were printed from corner to corner, and they did very, very well. Alright guys, so with that out of the way, other than that, I have not had any kind of issues with this printer. And actually, I've been really excited about trying something that I've never did before, which is printing ABS. So because I've never printed ABS, I have no idea what it's like or how it reacts, you know, when it's printing. So the FlashForge Adventure here is going to, be the first printer here that I print with ABS, and we'll see how it goes. Because it has an enclosure, I think that's going to help us quite a bit, because we're not going to have any kind of random airflow, and we'll be able to retain a little more heat than usual. So I'm pretty excited about that, and let me show you the filament that I got. So I went ahead and bought a 3D Hero branded ABS. It was a really good deal. And so this is white, but I can already tell that this is not like PLA white. This is definitely like a offset white. And the cool thing is that this printer already has a profile for it to print ABS. So we should be able to get ABS prints out of this thing without an issue. All right, so let's go ahead and set everything up. It definitely feels different. It's a lot more flexible, seems like. So here we're just gonna go on our little spool here. All right, so I'm gonna click on filament and load it. So whenever you do a loading of the filament or changing, it actually preheats hot enough for ABS also, because it goes to 235. So you can do, you know, both ABS and PLA with the same setting. So it's sucking up the filament right now, slowly. So we're gonna wait till it comes out of the hot end there, and then we're gonna stop it. All right, guys, looks like we are purging there, and we should be good to go. And so what I want to print in ABS is actually this dual fan duct that's available from Thingiverse that was created by Martin AU. So it looks to be like definitely a good upgrade, because it has 2 nozzles instead of 1, and you know, that should help us with our print. So we're gonna try to print that in ABS, the white ABS that we have, because that would be the perfect material for this situation, because we're really close to the hot end. So I'm going to go ahead and load this up in the printer, and hopefully we can get a pretty good print. All right, guys, so I went ahead and sliced it in the Flash Print software, and I put it on this USB here. If you want a little more information on how to use that Flash Print and everything, check out the other video about this printer here, and where I go in detail of how to slice and stuff like that. So here we're going to click on build, then we're going to use the USB here, and here I can see my dual air duct. If I click on that, it says it'll take 1 hour and 53 minutes and 3.4 meters of filament. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it from here by clicking the copy button. Now that it's copied, I can unplug this and then go to my internal drive, and I can see it right there, and we'll print it from there. So I'm just going to go ahead and push print. So the bed is warming up, and it's going to take it a little while, because it's going all the way to 98 degrees, I think is where I put it at, because I think 100 would be very hard for it to hit it. So I'm just going to push start on this timer here, and we'll see how long it'll take to get to 98 degrees. So getting to 60 was pretty quick, about 45 seconds. So while we're waiting for this thing to hit 98, which I think is going to take a little while, I'm going to go ahead and use glue. And the reason I'm going to use this because I know ABS does not stick to anything, according to what I've heard. So I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on there also, to help us, you know, guarantee that our print will stick. So I'm just going to put a nice little generous layer here right in the middle. I think that's where the print's going to be. That should be good enough, I think. So we're at 76 degrees, and we're 1 minute and 35 seconds. I'm sure the last little bit's going to take forever. All right, guys, so as you can see, 5 minutes later, we are close at 96. So we need a couple more degrees. But as you can see there, our extruder started warming up, and look how quick that is. That's really, really quick. So it's just over 5 minutes when the extruder started warming up. So less than a minute, like about 45 seconds or so, it's already at PLA temperatures. And a minute later, it's at ABS temperatures, and it's starting to print. So that hot end is super quick. So we can see, guys, the print has started right there. And it looks to be okay so far, what I can tell. I think there's a little booger stuck to the nozzle there, but hopefully that'll fall off eventually. So I went ahead and put a brim on here, and I'm not sure if that's a good idea or not for ABS, but I figured the more surface area we have to grab to the bed, the better. That's the idea here. So yeah, looks like we're doing pretty good so far. Alright, guys, so overall it's looking good, and I'm just going to let it print, and hopefully we will have a good print. So far everything looks to be alright. Hopefully nothing will warp at the end, but we'll just have to wait and see. Which I'm pretty relieved, because this is the first time I print ABS, and it seems to act similar to PLA, but it definitely seems a lot more resistant or something. There's like something else stuck to this thing now. I'm happy that the FlashForge Adventurer 3 has the ABS option. It kind of presets everything, and it knows what to do already because it has a profile for ABS. So So the spool holder here is doing good. Right where it is. So I'm gonna have to leave this thing alone for a little bit. Hopefully that's not gonna be a problem. 1 hour and 45 minutes to go. So I just came back and I'm happy to see that my print is still doing good. As you can see, the layers are going down really nice and there's nothing too weird going on at all. So I'm super happy about that, and we only have 22 minutes left. Alright guys, so it's done printing. It says build complete. Alright, so let's open it up and see what it looks like. It's definitely toasty in there. So here we can look at it a little bit closer. Hopefully you guys can see. It turned out pretty good. Like, I'm pretty impressed, you know, for being the first ABS print. Alright, so let's see how this flexible bed does with ABS. So I'm just going to flex it a bit. Well, that seemed to come out pretty easy. Should just pop right off now. Now if you remember guys, I put a glue under here, so that probably helped. And you can see the residue is not that bad from the glue. Check out that bottom though guys. That's basically perfection. That's when you know you got a good level bed. So let's see if this brim will just pop off. So we have quite a bit of supports here, and they're all just falling off easily. Just barely touching it and it's all falling off. Well, that's coming off way easier than I thought. I was a little bit worried that I might have to fight with it a bit. So just like that, everything peeled right off. So looking at it up close, everything looks pretty good. I don't know if you guys can see inside that one of those holes. There's a little bit of stringing inside, but it was printing in the air there for a little bit, so I guess it wasn't able to connect the bridges there. But other than that, it's pretty nice. So this is pretty awesome that we can get a printer to print us ABS, because anytime we're going to need heat resistance or impact resistance, we can print an ABS instead of PLA. You know, once you go larger, you're going to have problems with layer separation, which actually, looking at this thing, we do have some layer separation right there. You can see that crack right there. So I'm not going to mess with it too much because I don't want to break it off, because we're still going to want to use this piece here. So I'm pretty excited to install this, so let's go ahead and try to do that. Alright, so we're inside the printer, and if we look up there, we can see how the fan shroud connects. It appears to be one bolt or screw right here, right in the middle, that we'll have to take out, and it should drop down. And sure enough, looks like that whole piece is coming down. Yes, it is. So if we compare them, they're pretty identical. And the main difference is in this port here. On the new one here, we have two holes, which one leads to one side and the other one to the other. So you get even flow on both sides. So yeah, this is awesome. Let's go ahead and try to install this new one. So our little screw would go right in there, just like the old one. Alright, so let's go ahead and bring it in there. Hopefully I can do it. So yeah guys, so I just went in reverse order and tightened this bolt, and that was it. It was a little bit hard to hold the camera and do that at the same time because I needed two hands. But check out how nice that looks. That's perfect. And it fits on there just right. So I think this is going to be a really good upgrade. Alright, so now that we changed this fan shroud, let's print a benchy that is basically the benchmark with this filament here that I normally use. So I have a benchy that's loaded already in here. Let's go ahead and click that, and away it goes. So I just realized that this is a large benchy. I think this is the 150%, the first one we printed on the first video. Cancel this one and push the wrong button. Should have pushed this one over here, but I pushed pause. I'm going to slice another benchy, the regular size benchy. So. Check out all that stringing, guys. And the issue is actually over here. Look at that old piece right there. That's moving around. So the Bowden tube is moving back and forth. Not able to retract as much as it needs to. At least that's probably part of all that stringing. Alright guys, so I put in the little coupler clip here that separates the coupling. And sure enough, that stopped the moving pretty much completely. And look at that top layer. There's no stringing anymore. So that looks like it fixed it. Alright, so we're finally done. And I'm going to go ahead and turn the machine off here. So as you can see, guys, it actually turned out pretty good considering we had a few issues there. So as you can see, once I figured out that the Bowden tube was loose, I put a little spacer in there, and from there on it seemed to do really well. So let's go ahead and try to pop this off. So let's take a little closer look at the benchy here, and we can see that the walls are actually very nice. So if we ignore the stringing, we can see that the structure itself is actually very good. So here on the top it did pretty well also. The overhangs are actually pretty good, but I wouldn't say it's great. Maybe that has something to do with the retraction, I'm not sure. But technically we had good retraction at this point, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on. But if you can see this reflection here on the body, you can see how perfect that is. The uniformity of it. So the structure is very nice and uniform, but the details are not perfect. And you can see here up front we have a little bit of an issue there. Not sure exactly what's going on there, but I think that has something to do with the slicer and where it stops and starts again on the next layer. And I think if for some reason decided to do it here up front. So the part that impresses me the most is the walls. They are super uniform. I mean, they are awesome. So that alone there, pretty credible here overall, even though we do have a few issues here. And you can kind of tell there's something funny going on the side walls here on the cabin here. So overall a great print, and if it wasn't for the stringing because of the retraction problem, I think we would have had a pretty good benchy here. So I'm not completely happy with this, so I'm gonna print another one, and I'm gonna up the retraction a little bit. So I'm gonna print another benchy and maybe print a few other things and compare all our prints. Alright guys, so I printed 2 more benchies, and this is what they look like. And the reason I printed 2 because I had an issue when I printed the first one. Maybe you can tell up here there's a layer shift, and so both of them, yeah, you can see this one is a little bit more severe. They're both the same exactly. When I printed the first one, I thought maybe the new duct caught on something and kind of bumped it off or something. That's why I printed a second one, and it turned out exactly the same as the first one. So as you can see guys, we barely have any stringing. That Bowden tube definitely was loose, and that fixed the stringing problem for the most part. Any kind of hairs or whips you see on there are pretty thin and are easily removable with like a heat gun or something, or like a hair dryer. But if you look here on the front, you can see how nice the reflection is. So they're both practically the same. We'll just pick this one to look at. Look at that wall, guys. That is very clean. Basically almost perfection. So we do have the same issue here, and that is definitely stitching from the slicer. So you can see how good this printer is at walls especially. This printer is excellent at walls. And the overhangs for the most part are good, but the layer shift is actually right at that area. So I'm thinking that that could be better if everything was fine. So I'm pretty sure the layer shift up here is caused by a corrupted file. And maybe the way I brought in the file and unplugged the USB corrupted it, I'm not sure. So if we just ignore that shift, everything else looks really good. So the last thing I want to show you guys is I printed a benchy in ABS. Black ABS. So I bought 2 rolls of filament, the white and the black, and I decided to see if I can print something black because I knew that I'd be able to see a lot better on black. And look how good this turned out, guys. So I printed this the same way with putting a bunch of glue on the bottom, and you can see the bottom kind of struggled a little bit there. Not sure exactly what was going on, but once a few layers passed there, it really started printing good. And what I want to show you is like this wall here. That's a very clean wall, and for some reason with ABS there was no stringing whatsoever, which is kind of interesting. It looks a lot cleaner, like the material itself. But as you can see here on the front, we still have that same stitching. So the bottom didn't turn out great on this, probably not sticking as good as it could have, but you know, that's a pretty common thing with ABS. So. But yeah, I was extremely impressed with the ABS benchy here. So I was so impressed I decided to print something useful. And this useful item is kind of small, but it is a bolt, and it's printed completely in ABS. So all these 3 parts printed together on the bed, and they turned out perfect, literally perfect. So we got the bolt itself. Look how nice that is. I mean, the quality of the bolt is excellent. Can't complain here. The bottom's even okay also. Look at that. So then we have a washer here, which turned out pretty good, and the nut. So even the nut did very well overall. So I'm very happy at how this turned out, and I think now that I know that how good this printer can print ABS, I will be printing specific items, kind of like this, on this printer. Alright guys, so that was awesome. I did not realize how good this thing would do with ABS. And after printing a few more things here, I did realize that ABS is definitely not an easy thing to print, because not only does the bed have to heat up to 100 degrees, your hot end is hotter, and the machine just takes a little bit more beating when it has to print ABS. So I'm glad that I got to print ABS, because I was really wondering how it's like, and you know, what the material feels like and things like that. So I'm going to be experimenting with more ABS stuff and where I should use it and things like that. Now that I know that this machine can do it, I will just dedicate that job to the FlashForge Adventure 3 here. Alright guys, well hopefully you enjoyed this video. I'm sure it was probably a little longer than it needed to be, but as you can see, this printer is doing pretty well for me. I definitely can recommend this thing for beginners, because there's not much you have to do to just start printing, and whatever other little stuff that you got to do is very minor compared to other printers where you just have to know what's going on more. So the only major thing that, you know, most people might want to do is, you know, have this external little spool holder here so they can use any spool filament they want. And also, I think that fan duct is definitely a good upgrade. And don't forget to check your Bowden tube back here, because you saw how mine was moving, and whenever I put the little clip in there, everything changed. Alright guys, well hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, then hit that like button. And also guys, if you're interested in a printer like this, I got my printer from FlashForge USA. I'll leave some links in the description, so check them out. And if you want to see more about this printer, I did do a video of unboxing, setting it up, and doing first prints, so go check that out. And if you enjoy content like this and you're not subscribed, then hit that subscribe button. I got a lot more 3D printing stuff coming up and more 3D printers to review. And as always guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.